This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 966, and it's the Relevant Podcast. Here in Orlando, I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me, he's back from Loveland, Virginia, Jesse Carey.
Hello. I missed you guys.
From Austin, Texas, author, speaker, podcaster, Jamie Ivey.
Hey, guys.
And from Nashville, Tennessee, artist, mogul, producer, Derek Minor.
What's happening?
Well, hey, we have a great show in store for you today. Coming up later, we talk to Kel Mitchell, Keenan and Kel. We don't have Keenan,
Wow.
but we got Kel. Kel's
Still
with
a
us
legend.
today.
We'll take
a
Kel.
legend. Yeah.
I know. Like,
Take Kel any day.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Jesse, we're glad to have you back, man. We missed you the last couple episodes. You were under the weather. You feeling good?
I'm bounced back. Listen to this. I even got my teeth cleaned this morning. For this, I was like,
I can tell they're shining.
Just for the show?
can you tell?
Yeah.
It had been, they looked at my chart. It had been 2 years.
Okay.
I used the
Yeah.
pandemic as an excuse. I hate the dentist. But I did make an observation while I was white knuckling the chair this morning. Because
Hold on. Why were you white knuckling the chair? What were they doing?
Because I'm at the dentist. They're doing a basic
hates the
cleaning.
dentist.
And I hate it. It gives me like serious anxiety. Like I'm literally white knuckling the chair, just trying to think about anything other than all of the like weird little hoses and suction and water picks things that are just happening in my mouth. Right.
Do you go to one of the fancy dentists that has like the TV screen above your chair and stuff like that? And you're watching Netflix while they're doing their thing?
This one did not have a TV in the actual room, in the cleaning room. I think maybe if you get like a root canal or something.
Yeah.
This is kind of the in and out cleaning room. But I did have an observation about every dentist's office I've ever been to. And I was sitting there just trying to occupy my mind. And I noticed the music that was playing. And I'm pretty sure that there is like a playlist that has been running in dentist office since I'm putting the time back to about 95. And they've just realized this is what it's like. It's not quite yacht rock, but it's very close. It's a little bit of, it's easy listening with pep. Because here's the songs that I heard that I'm pretty sure I've heard softly playing in the background at dentist ever since I've been going. And I think the strategy psychologically is not only ease people
anxiety,
but give them something a little positive. You know what I mean? Like I heard Walking on Sunshine, Caribbean Queen, Red Wine, Get Out of My Dreams and Into My Car. Okay. Right there. I feel like there is some the dental industry I think is very lucrative. Okay. Like right. we all understand that. We all see the bills. Like we all understand like how much money about an hour of the dentist's time is worth. Okay. Right. It is worth a fortune. I think they've hired like the best psychologists in the world to come up with a playlist to make going to the dentist more just universally enjoyable. And this is what they came up with.
I don't know. My dentist is evangelistic. He's playing the Christian radio station subversively. So he's doing the positive thing, but he's trying to implant the Jesus stuff when people are trapped in the chair.
Mine is more of an agnostic approach with like Steve Winwood instead of Stephen Curtis Chapman is kind of where I'm at here. Yeah. Is this an observation you guys have made at the dentist, or is this just maybe it's just regional? I don't know. I feel like everywhere I've lived, this is your strategy.
So you're not talking just elevator music. You're talking like specific happy music, like
yes, yeah. but ones that everyone either if they don't know, they at least know of. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I kind of know this song.
Yeah, Get Out of My Dreams and Into My Car. When you said that, I'm like, that is such a weird song if you think about it.
Out of my dreams, into my car.
Hey, that's really good.
But you can't stop but move.
Derek, that was straight up Michael McDonald, like channeling him. That was incredibly impressive.
So there was this Instagram that I follow, and he did trap Michael McDonald. So what he would do is he would have videos of old Michael McDonald, and they would sing like trap songs in Michael McDonald's voice. And it was the funniest thing I ever seen in my life. So it would be like, I have to send y'all this, but that's how I channel my inner Michael McDonald, because I would watch those Instagram videos over and over again. So it's like, just imagine Michael McDonald singing Back That Thing Up. You looks good. Won't you back that thing up? You are fine. Won't you back that thing up? It's the funniest videos in the world. But nah, man, my dentist office a little lit. You know what I'm saying? They don't. It's they don't play like hip hop, but they do play lo-fi. Like I go in there and you get a little lo-fi bounce to it. And it's pretty cool. I like my dentist. I've been going to this same dentist for it's the first dentist I picked as an adult.
Yeah.
They've been taking care of me and my kids the whole time.
Look at there.
Yeah.
I mean, is he like super old now though? Like,
nah, he was that's crazy. He was a young dude. Like, so he was just kind of just starting his practice. And we just kind of been growing together. Just
that's always the question when you go to the doctor's office and someone comes in and you're like, "How old are you?" Like you're like, "Do I want you giving me a root canal right now because I think you just learned how to do this last semester?"
Well, see, I felt the opposite direction. I felt like, okay, this guy's kind of young, so he know how I feel to be in the dentist chair.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna try to, so he had this one dental technician, and she would clean our teeth. And man, I would feel like I got punched in the face.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yo, my whole face swollen. The next thing you know, she wasn't there. He wasn't playing it. He's like, yo. Yeah, so it's like I really rock with this dude. I feel like I was like, okay, I got a good vibe off of him. And he's like one of them. He's a white guy, but he's like one of the white guys is he listened to Outkast. Like you could just kind of tell he grew up listening to Outkast. He's like a hip white dude that's kind of cool. So I'm like, all right, I'm rocking with this dude. Like I feel like the vibe is there. So he's playing lo-fi, man. They got Netflix on in there, and it's a dope situation.
That's the thing. More dentists should be like spas and less like the worst doctor's appointment that you can possibly imagine.
But there's a line though, because there's a dentist near me that he went to the affluent area of town and he opened this practice and he calls it the Dapper Dentist, and it's like bespoke, like really cool hipster dentistry. I'm like, I don't want to go there. No, I don't want to pay for all that extra stuff. I just do your job. Get my teeth clean. I don't need all that.
And that's what I'm saying. Like it's there's a fine line between hip and try hard. You know what I'm saying? Like Dapper Dentistry feels like we trying a little too hard. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, and the logo has like the mustache. It's like hipster. It's so stupid.
That's the thing. Like if I'm getting a haircut and a shave or something, like that's cool.
That's
like I want the old school because they took their time back then. It was a different art. I don't want dentistry from the turn of the century here, where like 1 in 10 straight up died because it was like, and if you're going to the dentist, you were either getting wooden teeth or you had like an abscess that was literally life threatening. There's like I don't want my mind to harken back to the 1920s dentistry. Like, a haircut. Give me that cool kind of greaser, roaring 20s look. Sure, why not? Have a nice beverage and a cozy leather chair. Sure. I do not want turn of the century dentistry. Nope. That's straight up a nightmare. I don't like that vibe at all.
That sounds like torture.
Yeah, exactly.
I did not expect that we would start the Kel Mitchell episode talking about our dentistry preferences. I hope our listeners have stuck with us. All right, moving the show along. Stay tuned. Up next, Tyler joins us for Relevant Buzz.
For all I know, this might be my last night. That's how it goes. There's no one I would rather be lying beside. It all comes crash.
You're listening to Metric. The song is All Comes Crashing. Love Metric. Feels like it's 2011 all over again. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Tim Tebow's book, Look Again. Have you ever wondered what would change if you truly believed you were infinitely valuable to God? In his New York Times bestselling book, Look Again, Tim Tebow reveals the powerful truth that when we learn to see the image of God in every person, including those we struggle to love, everything changes. Tebow shares incredible stories from his work with people the world often overlooks, and it will challenge you to stand up to the lies, rediscover the worth that everyone has, and impact the world for good. Find Look Again by Tim Tebow, available now wherever books are sold. All right, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Please welcome to the show, Relevant Senior Editor Tyler Huckabee, to tell us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week. Hey, Tyler.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on? What's the buzz?
Slow week at the intersection of faith and culture. Not a whole lot to report.
Okay.
Twitter has been so much fun this past week.
I logged off, fellas. Just letting y'all know.
Tumbleweeds around here.
I had to.
I logged off.
We are recording this on Wednesday, just a couple of days, of course, after a leaked draft of a decision from Justice Alito that if it were decided, if the decision actually were to be carried down, would overturn Roe v. Wade in the U.S., removing the federal protection for abortion rights across all 50 states, leaving it up to the state's decision. Now, there's a lot we don't know about this, and a lot could change between now and even the time that you all hear all this, so I want to be really careful about how much we say here. But something that we looked into a little bit over at relevantmagazine.com that I think is sort of interesting and gets sort of lost in these conversations is how Christians actually feel about something like this, because I think a lot of times the media sets it up as a very polarizing binary option. People are either for a complete and total ban on abortion or for a complete and total access to abortion in every case. And that is just not the reality for the vast majority of Americans. And that includes Christians. Most Christians in this country do not support a total ban on abortion. In fact, the most white evangelicals who have the highest support for a total ban, only 36% of them said they agree with the statement, quote, make abortion illegal in all circumstances. And that would be with zero exceptions for things like rape or incest or a medical risk to the mother. And their white evangelicals are a little bit of an outlier there. Even most religious groups, such as mainline Christians, Black Protestants, other religious groups like Jews and Muslims, it's a little more like 20%. Most religious groups do prefer some sort of exceptions for certain cases. So that's just something that you don't necessarily hear a lot about in a case like this. And it'll be sort of interesting and complicated to see how that works out if this decision does get passed down.
This is a hard subject, I think, for me to wrap my brain around. It's not a hard subject on my views on abortion. I'm pro-life. I lean that way. I believe in the sanctity of life from conception, all the things.
Hey, and to be clear, relevant, pro-life, like holistically pro-life.
Sure.
Yeah.
As our brand.
Like, I just want to make sure that our listeners are clear about where we're coming from.
Yeah. And so for me, the nuance and the struggle comes in for me personally, as in when this, let's say this were to happen, like where is the Republican Party going to come through with the compassionate care for all of the children who will be born, all of the mothers who will have children who didn't clearly want to make that decision, but they were forced to make that decision. And so it's almost like I kind of step into this water a little timidly of, yes, I am so adamantly pro-life. I also get super, super frustrated that it is like so extreme, where I feel like a lot of times we see the different parties leaning so far to their sides that we're forgetting about mothers in the middle here. I mean, you know, Republican Party is like, we want to save babies. We want to save babies. I want to see the Republican Party say, we want to save women as well. Yeah. And like, we need, you know, family leave. We need better healthcare. We need public housing. We need all of that stuff for women. If this is going to go through, then I also expect and want to see the next day, a million things come forward of how are we going to care for women. That's Absolutely. Where I land on it. And I don't think that a lot of people are going there.
Jamie, I'm with you. Like I honestly, with this topic, I had to call my mom and be like, what should I think about this? Because, you know, as a man, I don't want to speak on a subject that I don't know much about, you know, and I'll never have to carry a baby or anything. But I think I kind of land where Jamie has landed. And even on the idea of this, I remember Cameron, we talked last week about Florida, how you said when they, you know, rescinded DeSantis was like, yo, we're getting rid of Disney as a city, that they didn't do any thought on what would be the outcome of what happens after that.
What happens if this goes through? Yeah.
If this goes through. And I feel like this is the same kind of situation. I've said this on the podcast before. We brought this issue up. Like, hey, be pro-life, but if you're going to be pro-life, if you're not going to create programs to help struggling women who are carrying babies or have to go through with this, then you're not really pro-life at all. In my opinion, you know, that's just, so that's all I got on it though.
And I think, you know, I'm pro-life as well. And I think, though, it's easy to conflate ending Roe v. Wade with ending abortion. It's like saying, well, we made drugs illegal, so drugs are no longer a problem. It's like, well, now they're absolutely, you know, like, or look at prohibition. And it's like prohibition drove, organized crime started in America because of prohibition. They incentivized interstate crime, basically, you know, taking contraband material over state borders. And, you know, so that people could have a product they wanted that was illegal. In that case, it was alcohol. Now, I'm not saying that the wrong strategy is to restrict access to abortion if you're pro-life, but I also think there's a degree of naivety that seems to be evident in some parts of the pro-life movement that this is the end of abortion. When the reality is, like, when something becomes illegal, that doesn't necessarily make it ends it. It drives it underground and creates kind of a different sort of issue that I feel like is not being addressed. Because as soon as the access is limited in different states, it doesn't mean the demand goes away. Yeah. And if churches start, you know, or if I shouldn't say churches, if, you know, the pro-life movement is solely focused on overturning Roe v. Wade, it's more treating a symptom than the problem. And the problem, like to your point earlier, Jamie, is, you know, there's a lot of young women who feel like this is the best option for them, where it should be, you know, ideally the role of the church to go in and say, hey, there are other options for, you know, a pregnancy that may be unwanted, that doesn't necessarily culminate with the termination of the pregnancy, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you know, just, you know, whatever you think as this kind of plays out in the coming weeks and months, you know, I mean, the reality is all they're talking about is removing the federal protection. So it's going to go back down to the states. And if this is an issue that you're passionate about one way or the other, you can make a difference at your state level. You know, like every state will approach it differently. And what's interesting is Tyler and I were talking yesterday is that this is going to kind of create two Americas. You know, even more so than we have now. It's almost like physically where you live.
Too late.
Well, physically where you live. It's like, okay, my state is, you know, has abortion priorities, and my state has restrictions, and that's going to affect where I raise my family, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And so I think you're going to start to see migration shifts because of this legislative decision. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Right. What else do you have, Tyler? Well, and two, we're covering this at the site, and
of course,
there's a lot of content, and a lot of nuance, and a lot of conversation happening.
Lots of stuff there, and we'll be trying to cover as much of it as we possibly can. Shifting topics a little bit, but in the interest of transparency, I have a question for you guys. We've seen a lot of news about Netflix for the last few days, and sort of, you know, the stock market and Netflix, you know, losing subscribers. Before we get into this, has anyone's relationship with Netflix, would you say it's changed over the last year to year and a half? Do you feel like where do you feel like it's fallen in your ranking of the streaming services that are available?
Definitely taking a step back for sure.
It's terrible. Yeah.
See, I see Netflix as the comfort food, right? Like it's the little Debbie snack of streaming, right? Like I'm not quite hungry enough for dinner, right? I'm not quite,
That's
I'm
HBO
not,
or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's HBO or Apple, right? I'm not quite to the point where I need to do like a Chick-fil-A run. That's like your Hulus and your Peacocks. It's like it's mid-afternoon. I just need to pick me up. I just need some comfort food. I'm going to take that Twinkie. That's Netflix. And honestly, like half the content is some sort of game show involving baking cakes. So, I feel like
Is It Cake is a great show, by the way.
We love it at our house.
I haven't watched
Is It Cake is a great show, by the way.
I haven't watched it yet. All right. So there's a reason for that, which Jesse, I think you're very much in line. I think this podcast is very much in line with the general attitude about Netflix. It used to be dominant, sort of taken a dive. It's not just your imagination, and there's a reason behind it. And we're going to get a little petty here. We're going to get into a little behind the scenes drama, but I think it's interesting, kind of says a lot about where streaming in general could be going. So a few years ago, there was a woman who worked at Netflix by the name of Cindy Holland, and she has in recent months been credited with a lot of Netflix's early success with its original content. Stuff like The Crown, House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, and Stranger Things. These were all her babies. And what made them work, according to the people who worked on them, was she took a very hands-off approach to how these were made. We get the creator in the front door, we sign the check, and then we step back and let them do whatever they want to do with it. And creators really liked this. It was how Netflix was able to win over some big names from more established traditional studios, because they said, if you have a passion project, we'll sign the checks for it. These were very expensive projects, but they became cultural phenomenons. All of those became very, very big hits for Netflix. And what happened in recent years was Netflix shifted its approach. They started putting this woman, Cindy Holland, on the back burner. Instead, Chief Content Officer Ted Sarandos has been calling the shots, and he prefers casting a wider, cheaper net, dialing up the number of shows and dialing down the curation. One source for The Hollywood Reporter called it the Walmartization of Netflix, doing quantity over quality. He said, we're spending too much on not enough shows. He'd rather spend a lot of money on a lot of cheaper shows like what we're seeing here. And that has led to a lot of what we're seeing now. And to the point where Cindy Holland, her last show that she worked on for Netflix was The Queen's Gambit. Obviously a huge hit, very, very expensive for Netflix, but paid off in a big way for them during the pandemic. And then shortly after that, she was forced out and moved on. And now the original content is a lot of what we're seeing here today now. So that is a little bit of the drama. This is all like off the record, sources, talking to sources, but it was all published in this very long, very interesting piece at The Hollywood Reporter. This sort of explains maybe the two different systems you could bring to your streaming service. And Netflix has banked on one, and we're seeing what happened to it.
I was talking with my business partner at our record label, and we were talking about the issue with business and art, because art is such it's a hard thing to put to nail down, because if I'm just selling refrigerator parts or car parts, like, hey, if someone's car breaks down, it needs brakes, I have the best brakes for the cheapest price. Most people will buy from me if my marketing is correct. Art is hard because it has to connect with people on a level. And sometimes the financials don't always make sense at first, but they begin to make sense later if the people connect with it. And it seems like Netflix has done what a lot of record labels do all the time. They have these artists that are passionate about their music, passionate about, you have an A&R that's like spending money on making sure that the records are phenomenal. And then they're like, yo, we're spending too much money to keep these guys creative or whatever. Let's just bring in these young artists and just fart out records left and right. And then what happens is it just burns the brand and dilutes the record label. And then you're like, man, I remember when that record label was hot. You know what I mean? And that seems like that's what's happening with Netflix.
Yeah.
Just for the money, it's just tough now to justify. They keep raising the prices. They're going to limit password sharing or eliminate it or make you pay for it. Like when you, for the same price or cheaper, can have the Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus bundle for the same price as Netflix. Or for less money, you could have HBO Max. Or for less money, you could have Peacock. I mean, it's like, why do I need Netflix? You know,
Right.
like Hulu's got all these great shows, and then you have all the Disney Plus stuff. I was like, for less money, I don't know. I canceled Netflix the other week. I just like,
Oh, you
yeah.
did.
I'm thinking about it, man. I'm pretty
Yeah.
close.
man.
I switched over. I hadn't had Hulu ever, and I was just seeing Hulu, all these like great shows that they were
Yeah.
doing Hulu originals, and I was like, I want those. And I'm looking at Netflix, and they have nothing that I want
Yeah.
other than Ozark and an old Breaking
Sure.
Bad episode or something.
And
But
Ozark
it's like,
just did his last episode.
Yeah,
Right.
Ozark's out.
I watched it, so I canceled Netflix, watched Ozark, and now I'm over on Hulu. But for me, Apple TV Plus is the new HBO as far as prestige weekly programming. HBO
Great shows.
Max is stepping into what Netflix used to be with great originals and quantity and Friends and other other kind of old school stuff. Peacock has The Office and a bunch of SNL and junk. It's like, why do I need Netflix? It's just decentralized,
Netflix now reminds me of like watching VH1 in the middle of the afternoon in like the early 2000s, where it's just like weird dating shows, like Flava Flav. Like Flava Flav had like 6 shows on that. Like they were just filling with whatever they could, and they knew like, well, if you stumble on it, so the premise of this, they have to get married without ever seeing each other. That's like half of like Netflix. I feel like the executives just come up with like a weird gimmick. It's like, hey, what if it's a dating show, but they all dress up like animals?
Oh, gosh.
And let's just
Yeah.
put it on there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's their
Right,
strategy.
right.
Is like, let's take a convention, like a baking show or a dating show or whatever, or a real estate selling show, and give it some insane twist and just see if people will watch it. That honestly seems like what their strategy is at this
So you
point.
said Netflix is daytime TV now. It's Wheel of Fortune, or
Yeah.
it's Price
Yeah.
is Right. It's soap
It's
operas.
homesick.
Yeah.
It's homesick.
You're homesick
Yeah, it's
from
like,
school.
yeah, it's homesick.
That's what I'm saying. It's the comfort food, man. It's chicken noodle soup for streaming. Like, I'm not going to dive in to a 5-hour Lord of the Rings new show on Amazon that costs $6 billion. But I'm going to watch this person cut open that birthday cake and tell me if it's actually a giant sponge or not. I'm in. Just that I don't want to think right now.
And that, for me, I'm sort of going, that's not worth $200 a year for me anymore.
Yeah, it's
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Man.
I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
if I'm going to waste my time or spend my time watching TV, I want something more than that out of
Yeah,
it.
I have
Yeah.
YouTube. I could watch like weird, prank videos on YouTube if I really want to turn my
Also,
mind off.
do you guys feel like how when you're flipping to the radio station and you can just tell when it's Christian rock? Like you don't know what it is for sure, but you're not even hearing lyrics, but you're just like, this is a Christian
Yeah.
rock. So Netflix has it too. Whatever that camera they use, whatever the Netflix camera is, if it was on TV, I'd be like, this is a Netflix original. There's something about it, and that's not a compliment. It doesn't look good. There's even good directors like The Power of the Dog, Best Picture contender. I thought it was a great movie. Jane Campion is a wonderful
Yes.
filmmaker. It looked weird. It just didn't. There's something about it. Just didn't. Whatever their presets that they send to their cameras to use are, they need to adjust them. It's off.
Get Jack Harlow in there and let him tweak the knobs a little. See if it
Exactly.
comes up with different.
Exactly.
Where did it turn? Like when did? Because I'm trying to
When
think.
what's her
when did it
name
happen?
left?
When
Yeah,
this lady
yeah.
left, I mean,
Yeah.
When
that's
did that
it.
happen? When did I
A
was
year
like,
and a
when did
half
that
ago.
Cindy
happen?
Holland. That was she left during the pandemic. It was like peak 20, like the end of 2020, if I remember correctly, December.
And think
of
about
2020.
just the production timeline, year and a half later, we're
Mm-hmm.
now getting the results of that. And it's just like,
man.
it just fell off. And it's like, I have no desire to pay for this anymore. And what's interesting is this all kind of, this buzz about like, am I crazy or is Netflix not good anymore? Like that all happened because a couple of weeks ago, they had their first quarter earnings call. And for the first time in Netflix history, they lost subscribers.
Yeah.
They lost 200,000 subscribers globally. Okay. 200,000 out of, 100 million doesn't sound like very much, but they then said that they anticipate that in the next month, they will lose 2 million more subscribers.
Jeez.
And it's
Oh,
like,
my
people are just like, the
goodness.
rats are jumping off the ship. And I'm going, you know what? Seeing that news just kind of made me think about Netflix. And I'm just kind of going, why am I spending money on this? And so I just went and canceled. It's just like, whatever.
The other thing too, and a lot of these streaming networks are going back to the week-to-week releases, where it's like Netflix has been so devoted to the binge watch experience, which, look, it's fun when you're in the middle of it, but it's like Squid Game was the biggest show in the history of television for like 12 days. And now it's like, I saw someone wearing a Squid Game t-shirt the other day. I was like, I kind of forgot about that. But there was a moment where it was the biggest show in the world. And it's like, you wonder if they're sort of a victim of the success of their own model.
Because they had to keep feeding the beast and burning through like really expensive programming.
Are we shifting back to that whole
weekly
format to week?
Absolutely.
So
Apple
we're gonna,
TV Plus,
get cable back.
Their prestige shows come out on Fridays. HBO, their prestige shows comes out on Sundays. I mean, it's just everybody has their day now. Yeah,
I hugely prefer it. I think it's so much better, and it builds conversation. Like
it's water cooler. Like we come to work and we get to talk about the show this week.
It's fun to talk about. Like, did you see Moon Knight last night? Oh, what a cliffhanger! I don't know what that sort of stuff is just fun. When a whole season drops all at once, I don't have time to watch a whole season in a week. Like I've got stuff going on. I can't just sit down and watch a whole season. And it feels way more individual instead of the communal experience.
Yo, is this post-pandemic? We changed. So pandemic binge watching was like that was it because we were stuck. Now everybody's back to work. Going traveling, it's like I don't have time to binge watch a whole show. I just need to get my little piece every day.
At our house, I don't watch anything live. I if you say something came out on Sunday, I don't have time to watch it till Tuesday because I have all these teenagers. Like we're never just home at night watching TV, if that makes sense. It's like
they're
catch
not
up on the
doing
weekends.
live though. They're just like saying on Friday nights all the new shows are dropping. Like they're just. It's just kind of appointment viewing that way, but you can watch it whenever. I mean,
yeah, for sure. But I don't get to have that community.
No, I'm saying, how many shows do you watch when you sit down and watch a show, though? Are you watching 2 or 3 Ozarks, or are you just watching one Ozark and be like, all right, I'll catch the other one tomorrow? Or the
Ozark is interesting because I read about these last 6 episodes and how it's pretty much the end of an era of this Netflix approach to writing because they literally write like Ozark has to have crazy plot reveals nonstop.
Yeah.
To keep you going because they know that you're going to watch from episode to episode to episode and the guy has to keep building and keeping you. If you were just watching one at a time, they don't need to have so much crazy twists and turns. Yeah. And so like when you're looking at the other prestige programming that's coming out in the weekly, it's not like Ozark. Ozark really is a thing of like you watch 3 hours in a row or else, it's like meant to be watched like that, so interesting. But I do think we are going back to weekly. I do think the Netflix model of we're going to throw out an entire season at once had its day. Yeah. And it's just not practical for the studios to create content like that. It's not sustainable, but Netflix has got to figure something out because they're getting passed by everybody else.
Yes, they do. They're getting lapped.
Yeah, they are. I don't watch Netflix. Anyway. All right. Well, there's a lot more where that came from. Make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com and your daily web browsing. There's a lot of good stuff we're publishing. And also follow us on all the socials. Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks, guys.
All right, stay tuned. Up next, Kel Mitchell joins us.
My eyes up to the skies. Where does my help come from?
You're listening to Brandon Lake. The song is Help, all caps with an exclamation point. He must be in need of some assistance. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by John Mark Comer's book, Garden City, a book that speaks to the tension we all feel between work, rest, and purpose. The New York Times best-selling author John Mark Comer takes us to the scriptures to identify what it really means to be human and flips the script on the idea that who you are matters, not what you do. He shows that God created us for meaningful work and meaningful rest. Both matter. This book helps you ask and answer the big questions. Does God care where I work? Is there a direction for my life? So you can discern God's heart for your calling, your rhythms, and the way His Spirit wants to shape every part of your life. If you're longing for purpose and a more grounded way to live, check out the new hardcover edition of Garden City wherever books are sold. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Erwin McManus's book, The Barbarian Way. Some books don't just inspire you, they confront you. The Barbarian Way, now celebrating its 20th anniversary, is one of those books. If you felt the pull of God towards something deeper and wilder than the safe, predictable version of faith that we settle for, McManus reminds us that following Jesus was never meant to be tame. It's meant to awaken courage, passion, and purpose God placed inside us. He draws from the wild stories of Abel, Noah, Moses, Rahab, and others to remind us that following God wasn't meant to be tame. Safe faith isn't working. Step into the story God is writing for you. Choose passion, choose boldness, choose the Barbarian Way. Available now wherever books are sold. Well, our guest today is Kel Mitchell. He's an actor and comedian that you know him from like Nickelodeon's All That, Good Burger. These days, he's partnering with World Vision to help provide clean water to kids in need. He sat down with Tyler to discuss how Christians can thoughtfully choose which causes to devote their time and resources to, and the connections between spiritual health and holistic health. Here's our conversation with Kel Mitchell.
So let's talk about blessed mode a little bit. When you sit down to write a devotional like this, what surprises did you find along the way? Did the book that you had in your head, was that actually the book that came out by the time you were done with it?
It definitely changed a lot of times as far as like the order of it, because it's 90 devotionals. I also wrote this during the pandemic. I also came up with, my own thoughts and things that were going on in my life that, I had a baby during the pandemic as well, which is also super awesome.
Congratulations.
And yeah, it was just like so many breakthroughs that happened within this book, but it really showed me how to be even more transparent because I was like, should I put this in the book? Should I really put this in the book and let people know? And I was just like, yeah, let me put this in the book because I want people to really hear my heart, how God brought me through so many different things. And I want them to know what the designer knows. That's another reason why with Blessed Mode, the name of it, it comes from a video game analogy, right? So in video games, you have God mode, and that's something that designers created when they made the video game so they could go inside the video game and fix any bugs or anything that's going through it, and they could skip levels. So when consumers found that, what started to happen was that now the players would start to go, up, down, left, right, start in Nintendo. I don't know if you remember that.
I did.
They used to do that. Yeah, man, and get different levels. And so they knew what the designer knows. And so for me, it's like when you know what God knows about you and know that you're beautifully and wonderfully made and you have a purpose. You were born for a reason. And in every emotional walls, there's a blessed breakthrough. It's so freeing for so many people. And that's why I did Blessed Mode. Yeah.
I think it'd be really interesting to write something as vulnerable and honest as this for you. Because people have a very clear idea in their head of who Kel Mitchell is. Like a lot of us have grown up with you and we have one image of you. And then to see this, that could kind of undermine that image a little bit. So I'm wondering if it was hard or felt particularly vulnerable for you to expose your real self like this.
It was in the beginning because, like when you're adulting in the public eye, I mean, you're subject to all kind of like comments and people's ideas of you, and just being a celebrity in general, that's gonna happen. You think you're doing something and you're putting it out there, and then you're subject to criticism, opinion of people's thoughts and their process of what they're dealing with at that moment.
Yeah.
And so when I decided to go, because that's pressure, you get a lot of pressure from that. And so when I decided to go, you know what? I'm just going to do what God wants me to do and not care anymore about what they think about me and what comments are in there. Yeah, I see it. And it might make me go, whoa, or somebody might say something, but that's life. Everybody's not going to like what you're doing. Everybody didn't like Jesus when he was going, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's a hard pill to swallow when you got to go, yep, I can't be a people pleaser. I got to really just do what God wants me to do. And when I decided to go, okay, I'm going to continue to be transparent. It's such a beautiful thing because you have people that come up to you when I'm at events. And there are fans that come up to me that know me from my characters, but then they say, hey man, I didn't know that you went through these different things and obstacles. I'm going through that now. And I love how you talk about your faith and so on a broad scale. It's really helped me out a lot. And that is the part where I go, yep, that's why I'm being transparent. That's why you continue to do it, because you can help others. Yeah.
Okay, I do want to talk about World Vision a little bit. And first up, I know you're working with them right now. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing with them?
Okay, so World Vision, I love them. I love working with them. And the thing about it is that a lot of kids, they don't have clean water, in different countries all over. And the thing about it is that World Vision is bringing clean water to them, which is awesome. We're doing the World Vision 6K, which we did last year as well. And it's just so much fun. We're going to literally be running 6 kilometers, which is like 3 miles, right? We want everybody to register. You can register online at worldvision6k.org. And that $50 of that registration, what you're doing is that you're sponsoring a kid and you're bringing water to them and their family, clean water. You get this t-shirt and a picture of them. And what's cool about it is it says every step you take is one they won't have to, because these kids have to travel so far to go get clean water. And a lot of times that is a lot of young ladies that are doing it, and they're carrying, water the size of a microwave on their back for 3 miles just to get clean water to their family. And so I love World Vision. They have the same heart I have as far as helping the youth and helping the next generation. And this is just such an awesome event to get into. So yeah, totally rock with it. Run with us. It's fun. You can get on a treadmill too if you don't want to run. Get with a group. Do it with everybody. Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah.
I know you're a guy with a lot of issues on his plate. A lot of people coming to you asking for help for their cause or their organization. What is it about World Vision for you that drew you to their work?
What I saw was that, of course, the faith that's involved in it, and with them being also believers as well, and bringing God all over the world, and letting people know about that, and then also changing lives. Right? For me, being in industry and family entertainment for so many years, you know what I mean, and working with youth and working with teens, and then also being a youth pastor, I saw what World Vision was doing and changing kids' lives around and making them smile and helping their families out. So I got to do it. And the cool thing about working within Nickelodeon and Viacom and TV, all that stuff like that, is that we're shown all over the world, and you can see Keenan and Kel in different languages and all this stuff. And so I was like, well, I reach out in America to different people and everything like that, and in the UK. And I was like, well, how can I even reach out even more and show people love and help out? And World Vision, they're all over the world. That's important to me to work with them. Yeah.
Something you've mentioned a few times in this conversation is the connections between spiritual health and physical health, and how those two can sort of go together. What would you say to someone, devil's advocate, what would you say to someone who says, Kel, I like you, I like what you're saying, and I care about my spiritual health, but I'm just not a physical health person. That's just not me. How would you answer that?
Yeah, so in Bless Mode, the thing about it is that it's your everyone comes to it on their own with physical health, and even when with faith, and them giving their life to Christ, it takes time, and the thing about it is that you have to sow a seed. Some people get it. You know what I mean? And then others is going to take time. It's like I tell my youth all the time, it's like when you're praying for a friend, you know what I mean? And you want them to give their life to Christ and you're praying for them, but then they're just stubborn or don't want to do it. Sure. And everybody has their own journey. And the thing about it is that being that you talked to them and you told them about your life in Christ and you told them about your faith, you still sowed that seed. It's still there. It just has to grow. You know what I mean? So even with exercise, I don't tell people like, hey man, stop eating that. Throw that out your mouth. You know what I mean? It's a thing of, through my actions and through my stories, I'm going, hey, bro, I fainted one time because I was taking the wrong type of pre-workout. You know what I mean? Or I didn't know the right workouts to do. So I had to get adjusted because I actually hurt my back and I couldn't walk. And like, these are the things that you hear in Bless Mode. And then just the cholesterol that's involved in certain foods. And it's just those little things where you tell your story. So then maybe they'll go, yeah, I remember when Kel told me that. That's happening to me now. Okay, well, let me start to take care of myself in this way. Not where you're talking down. It's more of I'm sharing. And then as I'm sharing, it's a remembering to you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That was Kel Mitchell. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's your feedback.
Trust your soul. It ain't hard to rock and roll. You know how to move your hips. And you know God is cool with it. But some people want the rock without the roll. But we all know there's no God without soul. Right.
You're listening to Arcade Fire. The song is Unconditional One. Parentheses, Lookout Kid. We got the pre-release of their album last week, 2 weeks ago. It's unreal. I can't wait for y'all to hear it. Okay, it's time for your feedback. Last week, we got talking about Elon Musk buying Twitter and how that, just kind of wondering what he's up to with all that. And then, thinking that this also might be an opportunity to improve Twitter. So we asked you if you could give Elon any suggestion, what would you want to change about Twitter? You guys hit us up on Twitter at Relevant Podcast. And here's a few of our favorite replies.
I like this one from Mark, where he suggested that he changed the algorithm, so I'm not seeing live in-game sports updates 2 days after the fact. That is true. That happens all the time. And I know the technology exists. It can't be that hard to determine if this tweet is about a live game. Because sometimes I'll see a score update and I'm like, what? How did I miss this? I'm like, oh, it was from 2 days ago. I was totally present for this. Yeah.
Yeah, the algorithm thing, not just for Twitter, but for all of them, needs some work. Like I'm seeing people on IG going, hey, are y'all seeing this? Because I know the algorithm, they're still tweaking it. Let me know if you see this. It's very similar to Twitter. Yeah. It's like, who knows?
Aaron Strasberg says, make the edit button free. Is it not going to be free?
Well, they're talking that there would be paid features.
Oh,
like
yes,
if you
and that
want
would
to
be
be
one
like
of
a pro user with an edit button, you pay a subscription fee.
Got it.
Stuff like that. Yeah. There's rumblings. There's a lot of hearsay right now.
A lot of rumblings.
He's got to figure out a way to make money, extra money, because $44 billion is a lot of money for a free service. Otherwise, so
it takes a long time to make. I think he suggested earlier this week that potentially, like, if you're a business or like a politician or something, that will require a subscription fee, but just like average users won't. But if you're like a brand or something, that they might start charging. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but I heard that sort of floated out this week.
John Gurley said, "Make it like MySpace." I like that, man. Let me put HTML on my Twitter page and have a top 8, and you know what I'm saying. I put a music player on that joint so I could promote my music.
Hey, people at the time, made fun of Tom and MySpace. It was so it was no toxicity. It was like the OG sort of social network, but it wasn't a place where you get on and be like, well, I'm worried if someone's going to yell at me. Yeah. Some random stranger is going to yell at me for an opinion they believe I have. It was like MySpace was just goofy and fun. I think if we can make it more like that,
do you remember why MySpace ended? I mean, like,
The
I know
ads, man.
Facebook.
The ads.
Well, yeah, to my recollection, it was when Rupert Murdoch bought it. I think he's paid, hundreds of millions of dollars, but essentially looked at it as, can I recoup my investment as quickly as possible? And in doing so, he did, but drove it into the ground because they just over monetized the whole platform until no one wanted to use it anymore. That
It was
my
just
recollection.
pop-up ad after pop-up ad
Yeah.
after pop-up ad after pop-up ad. And then it started getting crazy. It'd be like strange stuff like pharmaceuticals and just odd stuff that didn't even matter to what you're doing.
It seemed like basically the Murdoch strategy was what he's done with a lot of publications, which is essentially buy them, turn them into a tabloid to make a ton of money really quickly. And if they die, that's okay. Just move on to the next one. That seemed like kind of the strategy they employed with MySpace.
Interesting.
Ouch.
All right. Well, there's a lot more where that came from. Go check it out. We'll forward them over to Elon. So just send all your ideas over to us at Relevant Podcast. We'll be your middleman. Okay, it's time for this week's
Editorial question of the week. Hey.
Okay, at the beginning of the show, we spent a lot of time around talking about the very important topic of the week. The thing that's on everybody's mind. We devoted the first 10 minutes of the show to it. Going to the dentist. That is clearly what I'm talking about. So what we want to know for this week's feedback is your craziest dentist experience. That's it. Tell us your dentist story. Hit us up on Twitter at Relevant Podcast, or you can tell us on Instagram or else wherever we post this. Do y'all have any?
Okay, well, I have to tell you this. This is not mine. It's a friend of mine. They were at the dentist for the first time in like a decade, okay? Because they just didn't realize why they hadn't been there. They're in the dentist chair, and as soon as they start doing their work, this friend of mine has a panic attack because they have memories that came back to them. Okay. So while they're sitting in the chair, mouth open, noise of the dentist tools, they have a panic attack because memory that they had not remembered ever in their life came back. They remember when they were young that their dad had told them the dentist was a very, very, very scary place. And so their dad cleaned their teeth with tools at home.
Oh my gosh.
Because they couldn't they couldn't afford to go to the dentist. So instead of the dad telling them, hey, we can't afford it, he said, the dentist is so scary, I'm going to do it at home. So that person's in the chair, panic attack, having memories flashback of their dad cleaning their teeth at home. This is terrible.
Yeah, and plot twist.
Oh my
the
gosh.
dad, his name, John Wayne Gacy. It's crazy. It was
Yeah,
Who's that? I don't know who that is. Who is that?
Terrible.
he's a serial killer from
Serial
like
killer,
the
bro.
1960s. The subject of a new Netflix true crime exploitive.
For some reason, I was thinking of John Wilkes Booth, and I was like, what?
An assassin.
I don't get the joke. I don't get the
Lincoln?
joke.
Yeah. He would clean their teeth with like garage tools. Like
Yeah. Like, I don't know what he was doing, but he was cleaning his kids' teeth and telling them the dentist was super scary, so he was going to do it at home.
First of all, I don't want to see in my kid's mouth. Like I'm not going to get up that close and personal. Like,
Man, I'm trying to tell you.
The dad was trying to love his child by not telling them we don't have the money, and instead he ruined his child's dentist experience.
He's like, listen, it's terrible, but don't worry, we're going to take care of you. I just need. Where's my Phillips head screwdriver? Where is it?
I need the X-Acto knife. Where's the X-Acto knife?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, God.
Poor kid.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
That's crazy.
All right. Well, hit us up with your dentist stories at Relevant Podcast. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Kel Mitchell for joining us today. That's really cool. Also, make sure to view the spring issue of Relevant. We have Ryan Reynolds, Bob Goff, Channing Tatum, Shauna Niequist, so much more. There's an ad-supported version at relevantmagazine.com that you can read for free, or Relevant Plus subscribers get an ad-free enhanced edition that is just for them. So check that out. Also, like I mentioned, we're hiring at Relevant. Go visit relevantmediagroup.com for more information and to apply. And to stay in touch with everything we're doing, or at least the best stuff that we're doing, sign up for the Relevant Daily newsletter over at our website. It's the top 5 trending stories in your inbox every weekday morning. Great way to keep in touch, but an even better way to keep in touch is following Relevant on all the socials. We're publishing on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram every day. Go check it out. Follow along. Okay, on that note, we'll wrap things up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Jamie Ivey.
I'm Derek Miner.
We will see you next time.
listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
I do not want turn of the century dentistry. That's straight up a nightmare.
Relevant Podcast Network.